Many people are never taught about sexual hygiene, etiquette, or boundaries. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and I work with victims of abuse as well as perpetrators of abuse. One of the things that I have discovered over the years in my counseling practice is that when it comes to parenting or parent-child relationships, that a lot of adult children realize through our work together, they discover through our work together that they were never taught sexual, boundaries, hygiene, or etiquette, or just really anything about sex by their parents. And it's through our work together that we discover how much injustice this does with adults over the years. And one of the commonalities that I found in my practice is that one, girls are either taught to, their main thing is they're taught to not have it at all, or that they're dirty or they're bad for having sexual desires or interests, or even crushes on people. So there's a lot of pressure from their parents to not focus on having sex, but just keep your head down, focus on school, focus on your job, focus on that. You don't need to be doing that. You need to be more of a good girl. With young boys or adolescent boys, they are there's mixed messages there, but it's kind of more of a like, boys will be boys and good for you for having an attraction, an erection, and they may throw condoms or things like that, but there's not really a whole lot of discussion around like sex education or practice. It's just like, go out and do you, and high five for finally getting some. It's more of that sort of bravado around boys. Both of them, both methods are very unhealthy and can be very destructive, right? Because it sends a message, one, to boys, hey, go out there, get as much as you can. You're being a man, and the more maybe you conquer or you get, the better or bigger of a man that you are. With girls, it's like there's like this sort of crippling, like you're bad, you're dirty, you're wrong for having that. And a lot of times also too, one of the things that I forgot to mention with girls is that mothers will also shame or berate girls, call girls whores, and things like that for actually having desire. So, there's like this negative connotation, like, how dare you bad person, for actually having these desires or wanting to have these discussions. And no, I'm not talking to you, and there's something wrong with you for actually wanting to explore that or expressing that, and sort of the shutdown. And so girls become conditioned very early on to know that my parents aren't safe to talk about that. Boys become conditioned to, it's kind of like their life, but they also get conditioned to have these accolades for having this active sexual prowess, this life, and it's bravado. You're a big man for doing it, but it's still not a discussion around that. And so a lot of times for girls, and who become women, they don't know how to have discussions, or there's shame or timidness around having discussions around sexual etiquette, like how to touch me, how to explore my body, let's go get STD testing, and things like that. So there's all of that, or even discussion of boundaries around sexual practices, like, hey, if we're having sex together, my boundary is that we have to, we're monogamous. We have to maybe use condoms or other sexual protective methods and things like that. And the reason why this is so important, especially in the work that I do, and what I found that comes up is like sexual assault and sexual abuse still comes up for a lot of grown women, even in committed partnerships or even in relationships where they've been with a partner for quite some time. And with men, a lot of what comes up is also mixed messages around sex, consensual versus non-consensual touch, and also just how to ask for intimacy in non-sexual ways. So there's a lot of different messages that kind of goes into that. But yeah, so I think there definitely needs to be, in my work with my clients, I definitely have discussions around what consent looks like, what boundaries looks like, what does sexual health looks like, and what are your values around sex. Because there's a lot of people, even though they may be having sex, especially recently I discovered this thing, and it sort of blew my mind, where I was talking, and I've talked with clients, and there's like this big new wave of like people having sex without like kissing or doing more intimate things. So it's more like straight into it, very mechanical, and it's like people are okay with that because there's just like they feel negative about like, or they have negative experience, or they have negative associations with getting closer in a way that like kissing and touching and things like that. We just want like bare minimum physical interactions. I don't want you kissing me, I don't want you touching me, I don't want you cuddling, I don't want any aftercare or things like that. Let's just do the thing and get out of it. And I mean, it's even to the point in a lot of cases where like most of your clothes are kept on, which again, that's like more of a newer phenomenon that like I've been taught about like recently, that like very little intimacy and just more of the mechanics of actually having sex. There's like a pretty big level of detachment there. And then often, with women, especially those women who have or who were pressured to conform to be good girls, a lot of times good girls find themselves in relationships with people who are predatory or who don't care about how they're doing sexually. So they don't care if they're having an orgasm, they don't care if you liked it, they don't care to talk with you about problems that may have come up. Your boundaries might not be respected. There may be some unethical sexual practices that are going on in the bedroom, such as things that you did not consent to, or maybe you weren't even conscious to consent to. So there's a lot of that goes on, and people that aren't well educated around that. But I think the biggest red flag is when you have a partner that just they don't care about you and what your needs are, and they're not willing to have the conversation. And this is different from, these are things that I have told you before that I'm not open to, versus someone that's like, oh, this is a problem, or oh, this hurts, and I need to tell you that I'm not okay with that, but I feel like I can't talk to you about that, or I don't know how to necessarily communicate that, or oh, maybe you were stepping out, or maybe we're in a situationship and I found out that you're now having sex with other people and I'm not okay with that, but I feel like I can't really say that because we're not in a definitive relationship. That's also something that's very common. So just something that I wanted to share.